We are live. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday once again. We are back to our normal date and time. It is time for the Going Broadway podcast. Alex and Cole with you this morning. Cole, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. And guys, you will have to forgive me this morning. I had a show last night. My voice is a little rough, and I got in at 4 a.m. and decided to still come be on the Going Broadway podcast this morning because I love you guys so much that I am willing to take no sleep as a sacrifice. But I'm good. Thank
you, Cole.
So, yeah, super excited. Oh, I like that one. I asked in the chat for some off the tops, and I see some things flowing in. We are taking some suggestions for off the top here in our first segment, so go ahead and drop some in the chat, and we'd be happy to talk about some of these things. But otherwise, great show in store for you guys.
Yeah, we're admittedly a little bit behind. Neither of us have watched Dynamite. We did keep up to date with the results, so we'll talk a little bit about it. We'll bring it up, but this is going to be kind of a free flow-ish kind of show. I mean, we got some things that we know we're going to talk about. Excuse me. But yeah, we're just going to kind of chat about some stuff, see what happens. This will be, you might notice, a shorter-ish show today. We're going to be live again this upcoming Saturday, so that's part of the reason for it. We'll give you more details about that later in the show. However, you might see at the end of the show, we've got a little giveaway that we're going to be doing. So we're going to be having a big giveaway. So here are the ground rules. At 3 different points throughout the show, I'm going to be asking for a keyword. In order to be entered into the giveaway at the end of the podcast, you have to be able to reply with all 3 keywords. Not going to say when I'm giving the keywords. It's just going to be completely random. I might give 2 back-to-back.
Ooh.
I might give all 3 back-to-back.
Ooh.
I might give one here in 2 minutes and one right before the giveaway and then one right in the middle. You never know. However, that being said, I want to show you what I don't even want to say the highlight of the giveaway is because, well, I'll show you the first thing. Hang on. So one of the things the winner will be getting is, indeed, it is a belt giveaway. It is a WWF Winged Eagle. That's just part of what we're giving away. Now, all this is going to go to one person. So that's just part of what's going in the giveaway package. This is going to be, I would say, aside from our 3-belt giveaway that we did, months and months and months and months ago, this is probably going to be the biggest giveaway in terms of the amount of things that are going to be in the package, if you will. So stick around, hang out, chat some wrestling with us. Again, you got to reply with all 3 keywords throughout the duration of the podcast to be entered to win whenever we do the randomizer at the end of the show. Well, without any further ado, let's lead in with this first. WWE Money in the Bank might be changing venues due to poor ticket sales. The rumor is that it's not selling well with the what's the name of the stadium in Vegas?
Isn't it Allegiant? Or
it might be. I just couldn't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
I think it's Allegiant.
But ticket sales aren't going well. The rumor is they're going to be moving it to the MGM. Now, one thing I meant to do off jump was look up the capacity for the MGM. 17,000 seats versus mid 60,000s. That's kind of a big deal.
What's the date on Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank 2022 is July 2nd. It's a Saturday.
So we are more than a month out, and you have a whole nother pay-per-view in front of it. I kind of feel like you're jumping the gun here. You don't even have a card announced for this. You don't have anybody on it. Who, for instance, if I'm the wrestling fan that buys a ticket based off of what the card's going to be, no one's buying tickets yet. You don't have a card announced. You don't have anybody on the card. You don't know who's in the Money in the Bank ladder matches, which is going to be the highlight of the show.
Yep.
If it's all people that nobody cares about, why would I buy a ticket to it? If I feel like it's very predictable, like, I'm not saying he is in it, but a Brock Lesnar or a John Cena is in the Money in the Bank ladder match.
And his name is John Cena!
I literally saw this morning on TikTok again. So, like, but if it's somebody like that's just off the wall crazy in the match and it's so predictable that who's going to win, like, no one's going to buy tickets. Like, so I kind of feel like they're jumping the gun on the poor ticket sales thing because you have nothing to sell it with other than person that wins could, headline WrestleMania or, whatever, but you haven't sold me on anything. So that's where I'm kind of sitting on it, is that I feel like changing the venue is a little ahead of the game because you haven't even announced anything. And honestly, Hell in a Cell, they're kind of doing the same thing like they did with Backlash. It's a very quiet build to a card for that show. Why not just go ahead and start having like contention matches for the Money in the Bank at least? Go ahead and start letting us know who's going to be in that match. It doesn't have to affect Hell in a Cell at all. You can still put your Hell in a Cell card together. You can still make sure that you have the card that you wanted for that. But on these Raw and SmackDowns where you're just doing random matches anyways, why not go ahead and have like one per show right now of these number one contender matches, both for the women and men's matches for the Money in the Bank match. That way we can at least start to see who are you putting in this match. Use it to build storylines for Hell in a Cell, So I think that's for me is that they haven't even put out a card yet for me to be like, of course you're not selling tickets. What are you selling?
This goes back to something we've mentioned almost ad nauseum. You're taking way too long, and AEW is just as guilty of doing this. You're taking way too long to construct your match card for your pay-per-views, or I'm sorry, your premium live events. As an old school fan, back in the 80s and even in the 90s, Attitude Era, you could even go as recent as that. Ruthless Aggression Era to some degree as well. They weren't as bad at it. You knew what the pay-per-view card was going to look like. I mean, month and a half minimum in advance. Now, granted, this is when you weren't doing an average of, in WWE's case, you weren't doing 14 to 15 pay-per-views per year, not counting NXT events. So I get it. However, I can see it from WWE's perspective in the sense that you're just slightly over a month out, and I don't know the degree the ticket sales are, how poor they are, but what comes to mind is WrestleMania 7 was when they were supposed to be in the big Vegas or the Los Angeles Coliseum, and then they had to move, or I think I'm saying that backwards. Hold on a second, I got to look up. They basically had to move the event, which they blamed it on security, but actually ended up being ticket sales. So it was supposed to be in the Memorial Coliseum, and they had to move it to the adjacent sports arena. So you're going from almost 100,000 seats into 16,000. I don't know if WWE's had an incident since then in terms of needing to move a venue so close to the event, but that's what pops into my mind is they don't want to do it too last minute to where Allegiant Stadium they're having to tarp off half the seating. So I get it, but at the same time, I see your perspective. It's like, who's going to buy tickets whenever, your Money in the Bank matches are going to make or break your card. It's very likely we're not going to see Lesnar on it unless it's a surprise deal, which
right.
They've done that before. I don't think they'd try to pull a repeat of him in the Money in the Bank match again. I I see it from WWE's perspective, but I also see it from yours, and from a fan's perspective. I mean, even if I lived in Vegas, I probably, just because of the type of fan I am, I probably would have bought a ticket already, just because of the experience and being in an Allegiant Stadium. This is supposed to be one of their big pay-per-views now, like one of their big 4 or big 5, depending on if you're including Survivor Series anymore or not. I don't know.
So, and this is the other thing that comes to me. They have way too much going on. You have the Clash at the Castle event that they're doing. Then you got Hell in a Cell, and you're trying to do Money in the Bank at the same time. Let's look. We've read that they really want Money in the Bank to be like one of their big 4, in a sense of pay-per-views. So if that's the case, all the other big 4 pay-per-views that you do, you are building towards them more than a month out.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, WrestleMania, we were announcing matches for WrestleMania like 3 or 4 months out. And it wasn't the big push just yet, but it was letting you know, hey, here is a little taste of what's going to be out on that card. A SummerSlam, you would get 1 or 2 matches announced, probably the main events. Just a little taste of what's going to be on that card.
A little taste.
A little taste.
A little taste.
And they're not doing that. All they've done is put out a promo for Money in the Bank, very vague, nothing to do. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you know Cody Rhodes is going to be in it, do a number one, a contenders match for it, to qualifying match is what they would call it. I was trying to find the right word.
Yeah.
A qualifying match for it. Have him win, even if Seth Rollins needs to interfere, and still let him get the win, though. Cody Rhodes is now in the match. Now Cody Rhodes is in the Money in the Bank match. It's something I want to go watch. If AJ Styles is going to be in it, even though he's feuding with the Judgment Day, have him get his win while still feuding with the Judgment Day. Go ahead and give us a taste of who's going to be in these matches that are really what the whole card is about in the first place. I know Roman Reigns is probably going to defend the belt somewhere on the card. Cool. I don't need to know who Roman Reigns is fighting just yet, because the reality is he's probably going to win. So it doesn't really matter to me who his feud is with at the moment. Give me the taste of what is supposed to be on that card right then and there. And so I think with them having so much going on, they're not putting together the card as quickly as they should. They're not giving us something to invest in. They're not giving us something to be excited about. And then you're wanting it to be one of your big 4. And someone said it isn't SummerSlam in July. No,
yeah.
SummerSlam's in August, isn't it?
No, it's July 29th or July 30th. So you've technically got, if you're considering Money in the Bank one of your big 4 or big 5 now, you've got 2 of your big 4 or 5 in the same month.
Right.
And 2 that are
back to back.
Yeah. 2 that are going to be like in your...
So you would almost have to look at moving Money in the Bank to another time in the year.
You have to. This was poorly constructed in terms of scheduling. Like, this is...
Because Mania is like your quarter 1. Well, and that's kind of weird too, though, as far as like a big 4, because Royal Rumble is usually January. So I guess that's about a quarter. And then you usually have, so then you'd have WrestleMania in April. You would have SummerSlam in the summer. You would almost need to move, if you're having Money in the Bank basically kind of take the place of Survivor Series as far as one of the big 4, you kind of have to move it more to like October, November, like somewhere in there.
Well, I mean, Survivor Series would be November. So let's think about this for a second. You would need, if you're truly having a big 5, you got Mania in late March, early April. You've got...
Well, Royal Rumble's January.
Rumble's in January.
Mania's April, basically.
Early April-ish. You've got SummerSlam that really... Okay, you could put SummerSlam... Here's what you can do. You can keep Money in the Bank, have it be like late June, and then put SummerSlam at the end of August.
August, right.
And then you've got Survivor Series in November.
That's what I thought they did. I was thinking that SummerSlam was in August this year, but that is crazy because you're going to run into the exact same issue that you're running into with Money in the Bank right now, is that you're going to be focused on Money in the Bank, that you don't have anything announced for SummerSlam, and you're going to be wondering why people aren't buying tickets to SummerSlam.
I'll say this, green shirt guy is going to be spending a lot of money in July if he's going to be making both of those events. I mean, that's back-to-back stadium shows, too, so that's going to be That's gonna be some coin, as the kids say. So Dynamite last night. We can pivot to that. We have some early indications of the New Japan AEW Forbidden Door event. We had some teases of that. We had members of the United Empire, Jeff Cobb and Great Khan, invading the Ring of Honor tag title match. Like I said, Cole and I have not actually watched any of Dynamite, but it's really noteworthy that they are starting the build towards it. Even though they obviously have a pay-per-view this Sunday that precedes the Forbidden Door event. I like that they're doing it so far in advance.
You kind of have to.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you a few weeks to build towards it. It definitely plants the seed of, okay, so we have these two guys from United Empire. Obviously, Will Ospreay is the leader of it. It definitely teases him potentially being on the card or making an appearance, whether it's announced or surprised. That combined with he's been doing a lot more interviews lately. If you've seen that, he's clearly repeatedly mentioning AEW and repeatedly mentioning the event itself. So, which is not something he did before the event was announced. So, definitely intriguing to say the least. But I think it's pretty much a given that, we're going to see a Ring of Honor tag title match with FTR and these two guys. I don't know if I would have picked these two guys for a feud.
Who's to say it's only these two guys?
It might not be. I mean, you could have what should have happened. Go back to my idea on our last show. Basically, you got your Ring of Honor tag champions, you got your AEW tag champions, you've got your IWGP World Tag Team Champions, and then bring over is FTR still AAA tag champions too? They haven't lost the belts, have they? Okay.
You were saying have them drop those though during the show is
yeah. So, drop them before, and then you have your fatal 4-way for it all, so to speak. That's how I would have booked it.
I'm not necessarily convinced that they're the only team involved in this, because if there is, I kind of feel like that is a little underwhelming. Not that they're not good. I like Jeff Cobb, and so I think it'd be a good match. But I feel like out of all the things you could have done, this kind of just it would seem lackluster.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of intrigued, because I'm kind of thinking, okay, if Impact is involved in this at all, I would put the Impact tag titles on Honor No More, because now you have this kind of storyline with the Ring of Honor guys that are no longer there, and, feuding with FTR, who are the Ring of Honor champions. You have New Japan, who's coming in and wanting to kind of get their run at things. And so I think there's a lot of cool things they could do with it. And it is early on, which kind of makes me think, oh, maybe this isn't the only thing. And while we're on the subject, I don't know if you saw, but Lance Archer came out and said that he was wanting Suzuki Gun to have a match on that card.
Yeah.
And I thought that was intriguing as well, because typically if he's talking about it, there's a chance that it might be happening. So,
for sure. It begs the question of who is or isn't going to be available, because I feel like that there are a lot of other routes that you could have gone, and maybe they do. Maybe it was just because those two were available for Dynamite, and they just somehow wanted to plant the seed of the AEW New Japan clash, so to speak, and maybe it's just nothing. Maybe it could be, could just be Great Khan and Jeff Cobb against Roppongi Vice, for all we know. Who knows? Here's something I wanted to mention. This is something I forgot to bring up as it relates to guest spots on AEW, so to speak. Did you see that Killer Cross was originally rumored to be in the spot that Morrissey had?
Interesting.
It was revealed that, shouldn't say revealed, rumored. But Killer Cross was to have that spot, and they couldn't come to terms. I don't know if it's because
they wanted him to take a L.
Well,
that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been that. It could have been. I read that Scarlett wasn't supposed to be, or she wasn't going to be part of the deal or part of the package, so to speak, as far as being on AEW. And it may have just been they didn't want it to be a repeat of his transition. What was his transition to Raw? Very just lackluster, and supposedly they're open to still doing business down the road. They're still on good terms or whatever. But I just thought that was really interesting that you really want to get Wardlow over if you're trying to get Killer Cross in that spot.
Yeah, but that would be terrible for Killer Cross.
Oh, agreed.
Honestly, it was terrible for Morrissey.
Agreed.
Terrible booking on the standpoint of we just had a 7-foot giant that we booked strong in Impact, and really it's dumb on Impact's part to approve this. We book you strong. We make you look like a monster. We make you look like the next big bad thing. And then you have him lose in what was a pretty quick match.
Yeah, it didn't last long at all.
Against Wardlow. So,
5 minutes maybe?
If that. And so I'm like, if you're going to have Killer Cross come in, Killer Cross needs to be able to come in and have a run like Wardlow, where he's dominant, whatever. I would not bring him in to job somebody else.
Yeah, no
Not
kidding.
off the jump.
Yeah. Where are we at? 9:25. Let's do one of our random keywords. So you can see that Cole's wearing a Team Ambition shirt, repping the local St. Louis dojo, if you will, that it's headed up by Davey Richards.
Sensei Richards.
Sensei Richards. Friend of the show as well. We've had him on as a guest, and super cool dude to talk to. And we're proud to be able to go to their Glory Pro shows and be sponsors, and just really cool. I mean, we always say support your local independent promotions. Indie shows are so much fun. But reply with the word ambition, AMBITION. That's going to be our first keyword of the day. And it is 9:24 right now, Central Time. So I'll give you guys, I'll even set a timer on my phone. Now it's 9:25. I'll set a timer on my phone for 60 seconds. So you guys have 1 minute to reply with that keyword. And do that as we're talking, and then I'll close it up in 52 seconds. I'll tell you what. Let's just move on. We can talk about our Wrestler of the Week.
Yeah, actually, even though I didn't watch it, based on what I'm reading and compared to the lack of other matches to choose from, I'm going to give it to Wardlow. It sounds like that, and I'm going to go back and watch it today. Like I said earlier, I was gone all day yesterday in Iowa. I didn't get in until 4 a.m. this morning, so me watching Dynamite was just not in the cards before today's show. But it looks like it was actually a decent card last night, and so I'm going to go back and look at it. But based off of what I read and comparing it to other matches that were done in the past week that we've had a show, I'm going to give it to Wardlow.
That's who I was going to give it to as well, just because in terms of time's up, closing it. All right, so window has been closed. So it looks like we had a good amount of people to reply with that. Thanks for participating. We'll give you 2 more keywords throughout the duration of the podcast. You have to reply with all 3 to be entered at the end to win. I was going to go with Wardlow as well. Just because what I did watch this week, there was nothing that stood out really, and at least in terms of wrestling content. I mean, you did have the Cody Miz match.
But you can't. I mean, they literally was a DQ finish.
Yeah, I mean, there was no. I'll say this: Cody is becoming a lot more entertaining quickly. I mean, just little things he does, like he did the woo before he did the figure 4. That was kind of cool. But the match itself was all right.
That match alone would be a boring match, even if they had a finish. Because Miz is not like this blow-your-mind wrestler.
Miz is not Seth Rollins.
And Cody Rhodes is. And so you kind of have, that dynamic. But Cody Rhodes wrestles a slower-paced match typically. Yeah. And so that was going to be dull to me anyways. But, weird stuff, too, that I'm noticing. Ricochet's the Intercontinental Champion. Hasn't been on a SmackDown in weeks. Austin Theory hasn't been on the show in a couple weeks. And he's the prodigy, next future big thing, United States champion. And we're giving time slots to Bobby Lashley and Omos, and Bobby Lashley and MVP. And, we're doing all this weird stuff. I'm trying to even remember NXT. I know I watched it, but I'm kind of, I couldn't tell you. I don't think there was one match on the card where I was just like, oh, I'm excited.
Blown away by it.
Now, I'll say this. I am excited for NXT in your house. They got some good matches that they're putting together, but it was almost
all of them are title matches, too.
I feel like they're stalling until NXT in your house. Like, they don't know what to do in this filler night of NXT. Raw was dry. SmackDown, I guess technically, if we wanted to, we could have announced the Usos just because they unified the tag titles.
But that was so predictable, though. I mean, there's no way.
The outcome was predictable. The match was actually decent.
I was by it.
But I think we both expected for a DQ finish. Because every rumor you would read said they're not unifying these titles.
Oh, I expected Usos to win.
And then I was sitting here like, okay, well, they're definitely unifying them. And another thing we didn't even mention that was actually a story that came out, it's basically being reported that brand splits are just essentially done.
They're done.
That is that the wording that was given to I don't remember if that was Fightful that reported that or not. I can't remember.
I want to say it was Meltzer or Brian Alvarez, one of the two.
One of them said that the exact wording that was given to them is that they are essentially done, which means I'm like, okay, so does that mean that you're getting ready? You just got the tag titles unified. You had the men's championship unified at Mania. So are we looking to do the women's one here soon too? Because that would be the only one left to do, in my opinion. I don't think you have to unify IC and United States. I think they can have both of those still. But as long as they're going to use them. I mean, right now they're not even using them and haven't for probably the better part of a year and a half on both sides. So, but yeah, that would be like the only match that stands out to me. Nothing on last week's Dynamite that really stands out to me because our last show was last Tuesday. So we even had a couple extra shows to get in. And I was like, man, nothing. This
is something I wanted to bring up real quick too. Whenever Johnny Elite made his entrance, I wonder how many people thought
it was Johnny Gargano
because the pop was insane. But
now
you wouldn't. I'm sorry, no disrespect to John Morrison, he's not going to get that kind of pop. Like people are fully expecting Johnny Gargano.
Yes and no. So here's where my thought was. One, we didn't even guess him.
We talked about him, but we figured it wasn't going to happen.
I didn't think he was really on the radar for that to happen, and it sounds like he's with them now.
Who?
Johnny Morrison or
no, he's not.
Elite. Well, the only reason why I said it is because there was talks of him changing his name in AEW. Like he won't always be Johnny Elite. He'll be Johnny something else once he gets there. And so I don't think it's a one and done.
He'll be back, but I mean, I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to. Johnny Dark.
Johnny Dark. That's where he would end up.
Johnny Elevation. No, I mean. Oh, sorry. I just processed what you said. You said we didn't even talk about him or bring him up. John Morrison. No, we did not. I thought you meant Gargano first.
We didn't say.
We didn't. No.
He was so under the radar. I think from. Oh yeah, I don't know if that's even like an option. Like, of course he is. And the match was decent, and
it was all right.
It wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it. I kind of had the same thought, like because the first name that pops up on the screen is Johnny. So, but at the same time, John Morrison did have a huge following in the indie, what you could call the indie scene or the secondary promotion scene with AAA and Impact and Lucha Underground and whatnot. So maybe he would have gotten that pop if the rumor wasn't so high on Johnny Gargano anyways.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm at is like, even if there wasn't a rumor of Johnny Gargano, I think he could have got that pop. But I do think I agree with you that the pop initially was, it's Johnny Gargano.
Yeah. Whenever Johnny Elite popped up on the screen, or the Tron, if you will, like, I would venture to guess 3/4 of the people in that arena thought it was Gargano, and then they saw Morrison come out, and they were just like, okay, we'll keep cheering, but not.
While we're on the topic for just a second,
That's fine.
How underwhelmed were you with the women's Joker?
I did say Maki Ito. I brought up it as an option.
Nailed it. I mean, on the head. But I'm pretty sure I was at the point where I was like, I just kind of want to turn this off. Like, not that she's bad, but like
she's not a joker. Now, okay, to be fair, I read this, thought about it, and thought, okay, that's true. It makes sense. They didn't really push these jokers like they have in the past as it relates to, surprise people and like the casino ladder matches and any other time that they've had somebody as a surprise entrant in like a casino battle royal or something like that they've really pushed and pushed and pushed. They didn't really push these jokers too much, or they didn't mention them a whole lot. So to be fair to AEW and to Tony Khan, I get it. We kind of built it up higher than what it probably should have been. So
true. I'm just thinking if you were going to do a one-off match anyways, you're doing just a one-off appearance for whoever's going to be the Joker. You're telling me you couldn't have got anybody else, even from another promotion, to come in and do a one-off? You couldn't have got anybody else to come in against who it was against Britt, right?
Against Britt, yeah. I genuinely feel like they probably reached out to a lot of people, and it probably just wasn't.
You're telling me you couldn't have got Chelsea Green. You're telling me you couldn't have. I mean, like, there's so many names I could go down, and I'm like, you couldn't have got anybody else.
I think we'd be surprised the amount of times the AEW reaches out to people, and it just doesn't work out in terms of whether it's dates, whether it's money.
Could be, I guess, but
I don't know. Let's jump to fan mail. Oh, what happened to my volume here? There it is.
They got the answers. I changed the questions.
I wanted to allow a little bit of time for fan mail because we had a decent amount of questions submitted ahead of time, and I wanted to give you guys a chance as well to ask your questions live.
Justin DeMarc, real quick. The prize, we have 3 keywords throughout the show. We've already given one thus far that you had to reply to win the prize. So that is how we're doing it. 3 keywords that you have to have submitted when we give them, and it'll enter you in at the end of the show for a prize.
As far as the fan mail, I'm trying to go back and let's see. Our last show would have been on the 14th, 15th. I'm trying to go back to see how far I need to go with these questions. Okay. So disclaimer, a lot of these questions were submitted by David Tilley.
Of course.
So we're just gonna plow. We're gonna plow through some of these. So this is something we kind of discussed a little bit. How would you rank the AEW Championship reigns so far from best to worst?
All right, so we're looking at Jericho, Moxley, Kenny, and Adam Hangman Page.
Yeah.
Jericho's still going to be my number 1. Even though the title defenses, like the actual matches weren't as good, Jericho has been the most, and it goes with his gimmick right now, the most entertaining champion they've had. He made every match feel big. Everything he did was big. It had that big championship feel for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Jericho. Then I'm going to go Kenny.
Okay.
Kenny doing all of the real Forbidden Door stuff, opening up all these things, the title collector thing, all that stuff. I think that puts Kenny ahead of the other 2, just because he was able to do so much with that reign. Right. But his matches are not up to Kenny Omega quality. We know now because he's got all these lagging injuries. I'm not saying that his matches were terrible, but they were definitely pulled the reins back on some of these matches.
He's literally been wrestling with injuries since AEW started.
Right. And so I'm kind of like, okay, good, but there's a better Kenny Omega title run somewhere along the lines.
Right.
Like, this was not his best run yet.
Spoiler, I mean, I'm saying this now because I don't think it'll happen, but I think it very well could be an ending to Double or Nothing that we see Punk win the belt, and then we see Kenny come out and kind of tease that, hey, I want my belt back kind of thing. I'm saying it now because I don't think it'll happen. That's ultimately not my going to be my prediction or wouldn't be for how it ends, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
So
I'm going Jericho, Kenny. I'm going to go Moxley next. Moxley, his title run was weak, and I've always said this. I have not really been on board with him since he's been in AEW. It's not that I don't want to be. I loved him in WWE as Dean Ambrose. I loved what he was doing. I didn't love what he was doing at the very end with the whole mask and everyone's a piece of trash kind of thing. I think it was a garbage storyline. But I loved his overall run in WWE. So I was a fan. And at the Double or Nothing when he appeared, I popped. And Alex could tell you I popped. We were together, and my jaw was dropped. I was like, oh, my goodness, he's about to turn AEW upside down. Like, it's good. Like, I was excited about it. And then ever since, I've been underwhelmed. And his chase of the title, but this could be more credit to Jericho, his chase of the title was exciting. It was better. I liked the whole potentially joining the Inner Circle segment and, him taking the car and then like, I'm just kidding. I'm not joining. And I liked the kind of the build to it, but his entitled title run for me was very weak. It was very lackluster. None of the matches felt like big matches. I was kind of about the whole thing. And then,
which means you'd put Paige last.
I would put Paige last. Now, to be fair, what has he done in this current title run that could outshine any of the other three? You could make an argument that he had a better run than Moxley currently, because we don't know what's going to happen after Sunday. If he doesn't retain, he goes down for me as the worst AEW World Champion to date, and that's even behind Punk, who just won it. Like that's how I feel like the lackluster of booking his championship reign has been, and I kind of feel like that's AEW's fault. You've not given him really any good competitors up until Punk, like Lance Archer coming out of the middle of nowhere to challenge. You know what I mean? Like, I just and he's had good matches during his reign, but the actual title defenses, he's probably only had 3.
The only decent matches he's had has been with Daniel Bryan, but that's
what I'm saying. The matches were good, but they weren't for the title. You know what I mean? Like that. I don't know.
No, I agree. I agree with your list. I'd probably reverse Kenny and Jericho just because I'm going to put more value on the matches.
I get that. Yeah.
But besides that, I agree with your list. Even despite the pandemic, I would still put Moxley above Hangman's reign. I honestly, I just feel like Paige's reign has been a bust. Like, I'm going to use that word. It has been a bust because I also agree if Punk wins right away, his reign goes above Paige's in terms of just how I would rank them. It's been that bad in my opinion. I wish I could probably find it. I'm not going to, but I'm curious to see how many times he has actually defended the championship. Because Jericho, I'm going to take this a little bit by the numbers. So Jericho held it for 182 days. He probably defended it
every pay-per-view for sure.
Every pay-per-view.
He did some of the challenges, on the Wednesday nights, he would defend it against a Scorpio Sky.
Maybe twice a month.
Right.
I'll
say while we're on him real quick, I felt like the best matches he's had in AEW was when he was champion. After he dropped the belt, it felt like even Jericho, everything he did after that felt more lackluster to me. It felt more cheese. It felt, like he didn't have that kind of match in him anymore. And so I don't know if that's more credit to the people they put him up against and how they designed those matches to make him look stronger. I saw someone said his bloated gut. I agree. The look wasn't there for me, but his mic skills, the Inner Circle being along with him, being a very dominant faction while he was running it, or while he was holding the belt. And you guys look at all the merch that was made and sold out during that time.
To put this in perspective, Jericho's spot at that point, it was either going to be Jericho, or if you remember, it would have been Hangman Page, because that was the match for the inaugural champion.
And they made the right decision.
They definitely made the right decision, because Hangman Page, I get it. He needed the long-term storyline build with the story of him and Kenny. He definitely needed that in terms of kicking off his reign. So they made the right choice at that point. But pretty much everything after that has not been good.
Right.
I don't care how Jericho looked. He made the AEW Championship be something. He made it feel
big.
He made it feel like not on the level of, obviously WWE is number one, but he put AEW at number two.
And an argument for number one at the time. A lot of people that's where the whole debate really started. It wasn't when AEW announced that they were going to become AEW. It was when Jericho won the belt and he was putting these storylines together that were interesting to watch. He was putting Inner Circle in the match and making guys that wouldn't have been near as big of names in AEW at the time unless they had joined this faction.
Right.
He was helping put these guys on the map. And so I agree with you. If you're going to go based off just match quality alone, Kenny has the upper hand on Jericho every day of the week.
I mean, if you're going to go on match quality, Jericho would probably be last on this list because Moxley had good matches with Brody. He had having a brain lapse here. He had better matches than Jericho did. Page has had better matches than Jericho did, but we're putting the entire package together, and I mean, that's why you've got Jericho 1. I've got him at number 2, and why Hangman is last on our list.
I have to put him there because Jericho was the reason I was watching at the time. Y'all don't understand. I was really struggling with AEW. I wanted to get on board with it, but I was kind of like how people feel about NXT now. I don't know any of these people. It feels forced for me. Like, I was struggling with AEW. Since then, I've come to like parts of it and different things that they're doing it, and I had to do the same thing I tell people to do with NXT. You have to watch it as if it's a different product than what you're used to. I can't watch AEW and expect WWE things. I cannot put wrestling in a box, pro wrestling in a box, and expect it to all be one thing. They are all different companies for different reasons. They wanted to go different directions and do different things. And so that's kind of where I was at with AEW. And so Jericho was what made it exciting for me. And we have the little bit of the bubbly that comes out of that. We have the Le Champion. We have the Inner Circle. Like, all of these big things came out of Jericho's run. It was more than just the matches for me with him.
Agreed.
So
let's tackle this one. Bluegrass Scratcher. He touched on the 5 AEW Women's Champions. Let's just rank those real quick. If you don't mind, I'll go first on this one.
Can you name them off for me again? Riho,
Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa.
Okay.
So I would I'm putting Britt Baker 1.
Oh, easily.
I mean, that's not even a question.
Easily.
That's a given. I'd probably put Shida second, a far second. I would if I'm looking just at the championship reigns themselves, I mean, Thunder Rosa hasn't even defended it yet.
Once.
Did she defend it once?
I think it was once.
You guys watching, help us out. I don't remember her defending it at all. She might have. I could be wrong.
I feel like she's defended it once, and it might have been a DQ finish.
If you're in the chat, help us out. If Thunder Rosa defended the belt and you are sure that she did,
I'm not positive. I'm just trying to remember, but I feel like she has once on a Dynamite or a.
She said she defended it once against Nyla.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Apparently, okay. So I'm going Baker. Let me think about this. I'm going Britt, Shida. I'm gonna go. I guess I'll go Riho next because I'm sure she defended it a handful of times. I'm actually gonna put Thunder Rosa 4th, just because Nyla Rose is terrible. She's awful. I'm putting it out there. I think she's an awful wrestler. She never deserved the belt, period. And like, none of her matches were ever good. If you would have, I was at the Revolution pay-per-view in 2020 live. I watched it in person. It was right before COVID hit. The match live with her and Chris Statlander was like, it was so cringe. Like, I stopped watching it like 2 minutes in. It was bad. It was like I've since gone back and watched it on just watched it on TV or YouTube or whatever, and it felt far worse watching it in person. So
I would agree Britt Baker's number 1. I will agree that she does too, but it's not even close. Like it's not even.
Yeah, Britt is clearly 1. She is a far number 2.
For me, after that, insert name, because I'm gonna put it like this. Although I agree with you, Nyla Rose to me is not near the level of a women's talent in that division that is, as far as in-ring capability.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. I just want to put this out there too. My opinion on the championship reigns has nothing to do with her gender status and all that.
Right.
Has zero to do with that. I'm just putting it out there. This is just based on her title reign and the atrocity that the matches were.
I'm good for the sake of the argument to have them in rank. I'm gonna say Britt, Sheeta. I'm gonna actually put Thunder Rosa there because she's so new.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen anything up until her build to her reign and her reign.
She does bring more appeal to the women's championship just because of her name.
I think it's a bigger feel for me as her as women's champion than some of the other names that have been it.
That's fair. That's fair.
By the end of her reign, I feel like she'll be number 2 for me.
Oh, 100%.
As long as they actually give her matches. I mean, the argument right now would be she's not even, and probably the Owen Hart tournament has something to do with that. All the women's matches and pushes kind of go into there and whatnot. So I get it to an extent, but I think she would eventually become my number 2. But right now I'll put her at my number 3. I'm actually going to rank Nyla over Riho though.
Okay.
And the only reason why is that Riho should not have been their first women's champion.
Absolutely not.
Terrible pick. I know she had pull backstage with Kenny, and I'm sure that had something to do with that. I'm sure they wanted to try to appeal to the Japanese market, and that I'm sure there was a lot of different reasons to put it on her. And it's nothing against her, but she made the AEW women's belt look big because that's how tiny she is. Like that belt was small, and she made it look big because she's so tiny. And it's I know you have your Rey Mysterios and but she just seems so unbelievable to me to beat some of the names that she was beating and to have some of the matches. And I felt like the matches were lackluster. Like now that you had your sample size of Britt Baker, which I know when we first started, we were kind of like, I don't know if she's there, like Britt Baker. Every match she had was good. I don't know if I could think of a match with Britt Baker that was bad during her title run. I mean, we had some crazy matches with Britt Baker. I couldn't name. I know who Riho has defended her belts against, but I couldn't name one match when it happened and how good it was. That's how boring her run was. In my opinion, you could have put the belt on anybody else and had the same outcomes of her matches. You could have put it on Chris Statlander. Yeah, I mean, literally, we could have named any of the women that were on the roster at the very beginning. You could have put it on any of them and probably gotten the same results.
There's a hot take. Brandy Rhodes should have been first women's champion.
And I'll be real with you. She would have had the same kind of run, if not better than Riho.
Oh, it would have been better than Riho.
Because,
she could have at least generated heat.
One, she's able to get on the mic. That is part of it. But this is where the difference is Sheeta had her title run was fine. It wasn't amazing, but it was fine. And so that tells you, it doesn't necessarily need to be this mic person and, all this stuff. But I think I'm going to rank Nyla over her just because at least with Nyla, I could get heel heat from it.
That's fair.
Whether or not it was good heel heat, I could get heel heat from it. Vicky Guerrero being added, obviously, to me, helped as well, some. But at least there was heel heat. At least there was something to hate as far as a heel goes.
Well, while we're at it, let's just rank our AEW World Tag Champions as well. I think someone in the chat asked us to do that. So we've got 6 here. We've got SCU, Kenny and Hangman, FTR, The Bucks, Lucha Brothers, and Jurassic Express.
I
can go first on this one, too, if you want me to.
Yeah, I mean, or we can go through it together.
Well, let's go from worst to best on this one.
Okay. Read them off one more time.
So we got SCU, Kenny and Hangman, FTR, the Bucks, Lucha Bros, Jurassic Express.
The worst for me would be SCU.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I could put them in the worst just because, I mean, they were the first champions. I probably
They shouldn't have been the first champions. I'm sorry.
In hindsight, I agree. At the time, it felt like, okay, you know, this is
I
okay.
I was okay with it.
But yeah, in hindsight, I agree.
But to me, it's that impact feel when they brought in some of the older veteran guys. You put it on older veteran guys that, to me, didn't really have the pull that they needed. I'm not saying they need to go on the Young Bucks, but there were other tag teams that were there that had a better.
Well, I'll tell you this. My worst tag reign goes to who I think should have been the first tag champions, Lucha Bros.
You think they had the worst tag reign?
I think they had the worst.
I can't.
It was just so underwhelming. Maybe it's because I expected more.
I could see that. SCU, they were. I'm sorry. Like I can't name a title reign a title match.
Well, let's put it this way. SCU will be my number 5 because we're going from 6 to 1. They'd be my number 5.
Lucha's gonna be higher up for me. I'm gonna say that SCU is my worst.
Okay.
reign.
So SCU. So I got Lucha Bros and then I got SCU 6 and 5. Who's your number 5? We'll just go one by one.
I'm gonna say Jurassic Express.
Okay.
Just because their reign has been extremely underwhelming. Granted, I'm giving them a little bit of grace because I don't think it was ever planned for them to be in this position.
I agree.
And they've had to kind of 180 some things. And so I'm going to put them there just because.
For that, I agree.
They're good. Their matches are good, but storyline has been kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And Christian shouldn't be with them.
Agreed. So So I'm kind of sequentially going with you, but they'd be my number 4.
Okay. So I'm at SCU, you're at Lucha Bros for the worst. Number 5, I went Lucha Bro, or I went Jurassic Express, and you're going SCU.
Yep.
Number 4, you're saying
Jurassic
Express. I would probably put Lucha Bros at number 4.
Okay.
Because for the same reason, I felt like their title run was cut short too. I felt like there was more to happen with some other teams and some other matches that were going to take place that we didn't get because of Rey Fenix's injury. Yeah. And so I'm giving them a little grace there for that reason.
Okay.
So we're gonna have the same top 3.
Yeah, and I bet we go in the same order. So number 3 for me is gonna be FTR.
So who's like FTR, Kenny, and the Young Bucks? Ooh.
So we got FTR, Kenny, and Hangman, and the Bucks.
We're not gonna be the same.
Really? I'm only going. I'm going FTR for number 3 just because they've had the shortest reign. Like even shorter than SCU. FTR were like transitional tag champs when you look at it because they won it at one pay-per-view and they lost it at the next.
Because they shouldn't have done it the way they did it. I'll agree with you. Now that I think about it, I'll agree with you. FTR would be my number 3 for the purpose of they booked that terribly.
Yeah.
But I put them up so high because they made the titles have a big title feel to the tag division.
Yeah.
Because of that. So I'll give them their props there.
So tell me your number 2. I'm curious because I'm actually I thought I was going to go in one direction. I'm still sticking with it, but I'm thinking maybe you won't agree.
See, this is a struggle for me because both these title reigns, Young Bucks and Kenny and Page, were good for different reasons. I'm ultimately going to say that I think the Young Bucks are my number 2, though.
Okay, we are going to disagree.
And mainly because I felt like, one, to me, they probably should have been the first. I know that they're the VPs and they were trying not to be all the VPs as champions and, whatever. They should have probably been the first tag champions. They should have made it a big feel. They should have put some value to them. I could have agreed Lucha Bros would have been a good one, too. I felt like they needed more value than what they were given at the beginning. So... but once they got the belts, I was just kind of like,
Felt like it was kind of past the peak of what could have been.
I kind of felt like we missed it. And that's the only reason why they're number 2 is because all their matches were good. It was really, in my opinion, kind of a flawless tag run. There was nothing you could really complain about what it was. It's just for me, once they got him, I was just kind of like, that makes sense. And there was nothing that made me be like, okay, what's going on here and how's it going to go? I was more just waiting for the dream tag matches that we've been wanting.
Yeah.
Kenny, obviously with Kenny and Hangman, I thought they had the best run. If you want to talk about overall run, storyline was there, match quality was there. Obviously, it led to a bigger build of a bigger storyline beyond that. So,
my only logic with disagreeing and flip-flopping those would be two things. One, the Bucks' reign was longer. They had it for over 300 days. Kenny and Hangman had it for 228. And the fact that Kenny and Hangman were a how we term it, a thrown-together tag team.
Agreed.
I mean, I can't disagree, though, that they had really good matches. I mean, that match with them and the Bucks live to this day, still the best tag match I've ever watched. Whether it's in person or watching it back on TV, I've probably watched the match half a dozen times. I mean, it's a classic tag match. I mean, and if you disagree, I respect your opinion, but I mean, find me a better tag match. I'll watch it. I know FTR had some good matches when they were the Revival in NXT, but I mean, I know the Bucks and FTR had a couple matches, but for me, tag team wrestling was and is that match. So
might as well go ahead and do the TNT.
Okay, let's do this one a little quicker. We don't have to elaborate on it, but we got Darby, Cody, Miro, Sammy, Scorpio, and Brody.
Darby, Cody, Sammy,
Miro, Scorpio, and Brody.
All right. My number one is going to probably go to Cody.
Oh, yeah.
Just because he made that title feel big.
Yeah.
My number two is probably going to go to Brody.
Really?
Just because I liked what he did with it. Like,
okay.
The storyline that was built around him being champion, I'm going to go Brody. It's not even really because he's passed and all that stuff. No. I really enjoyed what he was doing with it.
No, that's fair, because he would be my number three. I've already put this together in my head.
So I'm going to say Cody, Brody, and then it was Darby, Miro,
Sammy, Scorpio.
I'm probably going to go Darby number three.
Okay.
Just because he had good matches with it. I mean, yeah. I'm going to go Darby number three.
That's fair.
I'm going to go
Sammy, Miro, Scorpio.
I'm going to go Sammy next. Mm-hmm. I think Sammy's had really great matches with it. I kind of feel like it elevated him up the card a little bit. For the sake of we've not had enough, I'll say Miro next. But I hated his title run.
Yeah.
It was terrible, terrible booking, terrible gimmick. The whole thing was garbage.
Yeah.
And Scorpio, he's only so low on my list because he just won it. Honestly, just won it. I know he technically won it, lost it, won it. But he just won it. It doesn't really have anything to go based off that.
And we're combining reigns, guys. These are not just one single.
Right.
So
still not enough to really base the title run off.
Yeah,
of
my list would be exactly the same as yours, except I would reverse Darby and Brody. So Cody, Darby, Brody, Sammy, Miro, and Scorpio. So,
and as far as the TBS champion goes, Jade has been the worst TBS champion ever. There's never been a best.
Agreed.
There's always been a worst.
Agreed. All right. I want to do some more fan mail, but we'll try to do this more rapid fire. 10 years from now, who do you see being the biggest names in wrestling?
Ooh, 10 years from now?
10 years. Someone that's not even on TV yet, maybe?
That MJF, obviously, I think is up there. Braun Breaker, I really do think that Braun Breaker is going to be a bigger household name for a long time. I'm trying to think of some of the guys who are still at a decent age that they might still be like in their 40s, but still going.
I mean, you got to think. I know an inclination would be to say Wardlow, but he's in his mid-30s already.
I mean, he'd be in his 40s. It could. I could see where people are at on that. I'm going to say Jack Perry. I think if they change his gimmick,
I agree.
He's there. So there's a few. All ego Ethan Page.
How old is he? He's getting up there too. I mean, he's been wrestling for a while.
Yeah, I feel like he's in his early 30s.
He's 32. Yeah.
Yeah, so he'd still be around. I think he'll hit his peak here soon. And
I mean, I'd put Scorpio Sky in there too.
Scorpio, I could see. I'm trying to think other promotions, but
actually, wow. Without looking, how old do you think Scorpio Sky is?
He's mid-30s, isn't he?
He's 39.
Yeah, I was gonna. I thought he was older than what he looks.
I figured he was like in his early 30s.
So he's probably not on that list.
Okay.
Wow.
Matt Hardy. That Ric Flair kid's gonna be good.
There's
Matt Riddle. I mean,
Riddle.
He's not young either.
Yeah, but
36.
I don't know if he'll be around 10 years though. He'll hit his peak before then. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else.
I mean, Sammy,
yeah.
Austin Theory, potentially.
I can't see Austin Theory. I think he's going to be a bust. I was trying to think.
I think we've named a lot of the big ones.
Some NXT. I'm looking at women too. Like obviously Rhea Ripley is going to be around for a long time.
Carmelo Hayes.
Carmelo Hayes looks really good. Who's some of the younger women? Well, I'll get Roxy or Roxanne Perez, Raquel Gonzalez. Like there's a handful of women that are out there too that are going to be around for a while.
People seem to like that Nikita Lyons.
Yeah, I think she'll be a bust when she hits main roster. I think honestly, I hate to say it. I think physical attraction is what people like about her. I don't think that she's got the in-ring ability.
We got people mentioning wrestlers' sons now. Maxwell Hardy.
There are some prodigy names of other wrestlers that are coming up though that might shock us. So,
let's see. I'll take a look at some other questions. This one does not come from David Tilley. This is from Chris Robinson. Now that some time has passed, has your opinion on the Sasha Naomi story changed? No, it is not. I still say in any other line of work, I'll even take it a step further. Even in other professional sports, on other teams, if you decide not to show up, they will fire you or release you of your contract or whatever. And sure, you might get picked up by another team, but you're going to be a little less likely to be picked up because they don't want it to happen to them. You'll get picked up and probably offered less money. But any other line of work, including other professional sports, you would be fired. If I walked out of my job today and said, I'm not coming back, I'd be fired.
When you say change position, I don't think I've changed my position necessarily. I think the way it was handled was poor. And I'm a Sasha Banks fan. She's one of my favorites. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not a diss thing.
Agreed.
But I just am always going to be of the mindset of, if you don't like something, and it was said by some other people too, now that the story's kind of been out, you're not paid to have, you're not signed a contract and paid to be able to just get whatever you want whenever you want. You're paid to do the job. I know you're frustrated that Ronda Rousey got your WrestleMania spot that you felt like was yours. I know you thought it was supposed to, and all the stories have come out. Sasha was supposed to be Charlotte Flair's opponent at WrestleMania. That was the initial plans. They scrapped it. They brought Ronda in, and they demoted Sasha down the card, put her in a tag team with Naomi, and they gave him the tag belts as kind of a constellation type thing.
Yeah.
So I know you're frustrated that you felt like you should have been headlining Mania with Charlotte and that it should have been you in that spot. I know you're frustrated because you feel like Ronda doesn't really deserve that spot. And, they only are using her because she has name value and all these other things. And it's like, I get that you're frustrated. Doesn't change the fact that you got to come to work and do what you're asked.
And not to mention, people buy a ticket to see you.
There is that. This is the kind of job that's different too, because you're being billed as part of this card and as part of this event and as part of this thing. And when you don't show up, you didn't let your company down. You really let down all the people that are supporting you. And so I haven't really changed my position. Although the stories coming out about how she felt, does shine a lot more light on why it happened. And I think that there's been overall frustration there for months that has not been dealt with. And when you allow that to happen, you are going to hit a boiling point and probably handle a situation wrong. That's where I think WWE missed it. They knew she was frustrated and did nothing to correct it. Because even after she wasn't in Mania, she wasn't mad now that she wasn't in Mania. Now she's mad that you have nothing for me. You have no creative. You said, hey, we're going to give you the tag belts because we want to still kind of reward your willingness to roll with the punches in a sense. But then you're not giving them any storylines. You're not doing anything with them. There's no build. You say get over as a tag team. They got over as a tag team. You said, sell merch. They were one of their top merch sellers. Like, you told them everything they needed to do, and they did it, and yet you still couldn't put together a decent tag title storyline for them. You couldn't have them in a tag team defense at Hell in a Cell. You were trying to have them both basically get buried as single stars because they weren't going to win against Ronda or Bianca Belair at the upcoming pay-per-views, that they were trying to bill them for. So I do get the frustration. I don't think it makes sense for Naomi to walk off with her. I think that was kind of dumb on her part. I don't care how supportive you are of her support by still doing your job.
Yep.
I'd still feel like this is getting turned into some kind of a storyline, though.
You think?
I still feel like, here's my thing. If you're that upset with them and that's such a mistake that you cannot, because if this is all true and you're that upset, you're not going to take another chance on Sasha. This would be the second time something's happened where she's been frustrated, visibly frustrated, vocally frustrated with you, and has vocalized it, and she was told to go home, basically. Go home and get your mind right and come back. You're not going to make the same mistake a third time. So even though I think that the incident that took place is real, they would not suspend them indefinitely and just say, yep, we're just going to send them home for good. And
your logic is they wouldn't announce it, and
they would not. They're making a big deal about it on TV every week. Well, since they did this, no, come on. Any other time there's been if you want to call it a scandal or an instance like this, they are doing everything they can to cover it up like it never happened. If they didn't want this news out, if they didn't want to sell this as good TV, sorry to inform you guys, Sasha Banks has an ankle injury. She's not able to compete, and we're gonna have to strip them of the belts and do a tournament. You never say a thing about it, or Naomi, whoever you want to put that on, or for personal reasons they had to strip, family reasons. I don't know. Come up with a better thing than the truth in that regard, because you're trying to protect them if you have plans to bring them back once you've worked out all the kinks of what happened. But because they're like broadcasting this, I feel like you're going to see Naomi come back as a heel. I feel like you're going to see Sasha come back as a heel. It's probably going to either be Money in the Bank or maybe a little bit further down the line where they get involved in some storylines. But I feel like they're using this bad and trying to turn it to a good. How do we do that? Indefinitely suspending these two women, not firing them.
To be fair, they could just be doing it so they can go to a storyline if they come back.
When? Because the reality is they're under contract. So, in my opinion, with all the budget cuts and stuff that they're doing, they're not going to wait to drop these women way later on. And to be honest with you, I don't see Naomi getting fired. Her family's too involved. That would be the wrong move to make on WWE's part. There's too much pull there.
Here's how I see this happening. Neither of them will get fired.
No.
Contracts will be frozen. If Naomi truly wants out, they would probably work something out in terms of like a buyout or something. They would say, okay, you can get out of your contract, but you owe WWE X amount of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't think they'll offer that with Sasha. I think they'll just legit freeze her contract until she comes back, whether that's this month, next year, or if she just never returns to wrestling at all and just goes to Hollywood or whatever, which whether she would succeed in that or not is a whole nother story. But
well, the problem with that is, too, if she doesn't do right by WWE, she ain't going to Hollywood because everything she does is going to have to be approved by them. It's in those contracts. They can't just go do whatever they want. All of that stuff has to be approved because guess what? They own the name Sasha Banks.
Well, no, I'm saying if she does, she'd have to change her name to.
And even then, I still think that she would have to get it approved by them, which if you want to play ball, I think you're seeing that with Mustafa Ali. He didn't really want to be there, but they brought him in to job for this, that, and the other for people. And so, I don't know. I think this is getting turned into a story. I think a bad situation is getting turned into something else.
Here's a great question. This was also submitted by Chris. Of the GBP listeners / the people that participate the most, who post the most, things like that, who would you hypothetically picture as heels or faces for a GBP Fed if there was one? So, I mean, we got guys like
I would consider
like Thomas Russell.
I would consider Travis Bird a face.
Bird. Oh, yeah.
I would consider I'm trying to just look at some of the chat. David Tilley's a heel.
Yeah. He's not the biggest heel, though. Sorry, David. You're not the biggest heel. I haven't minded.
Lumpy, I would make a heel.
Really?
Yeah. Jeffrey Capo, I would make a face.
Bruce is a face, definitely.
Bruce is a face. I'm going up the chat here. Jay Stoney is a face for me. Maybe not in your actual wrestling, but on this show, I consider you a
Brian
face.
Steele, I'd make you a heel.
Me and Brian are friends. I gotta make Brian a face.
Really?
He's too nice of a guy.
His name just sounds like a heel name, though.
He does have a heel name.
Brian Steele.
Maybe we have to add like heart to the end of it. Brian Steelheart. Then it feels more face.
Speaking of heart, shout out to my Hart Family Wrestling shirt. Got Brett, Owen, and Stu across the top here.
Now Chris Robinson, he's the one that asked the question. Where do we put Chris?
I would actually make him my biggest heel.
I was gonna say heel.
Can I feud with Bruce?
Joey. I don't know. Face?
Sure.
Our
Brian Steele will be our tweener.
Our Happy Corbin.
I don't know if that's
Brybrin. Brybrin's on a lot.
He said I'm a tweener. We'll
Brybrin's a tweener.
Tweener, granted.
I like it. I think that's everybody that I normally see. Am I missing
Jamie
someone?
Benzelock, he
Jamie.
I'd put him a face.
Saki the sock puppet.
Uh-oh.
I'm sorry, Saki. You're a heel.
The puppet thing is kind of it's a little odd, so I agree.
Andrew LaSalle.
Heel.
You're definitely a heel, dude. You're definitely a heel. I think.
Who's the jobber? David Tilley is the jobber.
Stephen Offreddy is one that's usually on too.
Yeah.
Probably a face.
Yeah. Let's keep going. I mean, we could spend a lot of time on that. Let's see. This is an intriguing question. He might have asked it to be funny, but it's worth thinking about. Do you think Hook will get the FTW title?
Who cares?
Well, I mean, just the obvious connection. You say who cares? I somewhat agree. I mean, it's the FTW title. It's not even.
This is what I'll say. Give it to him and let him be the one to retire it.
Agreed.
Let him get his dad's title, retire it, put it up on your wall, and call it a day. Because that thing should have never. It's like the 24/7 title. It should have never been introduced.
Oh, it's worse than that. At least the 24/7 championship is.
It became entertaining.
Yeah.
It wasn't supposed to be that at first, though, which is my whole point. It just really didn't need to happen at all. But the difference is they have done nothing with it except make it look like a bogus title.
David Tilley, you can be less popular than a Mulkey, and I promise you won't take a suplex on the concrete floor. If you get that reference, congratulations. Saki leads a cult. These are some great comments. I love it.
A dark sock order.
Ew. Gosh. Who would be our first GBP champion? No one asked that. That's just something
Out of our listeners?
Yeah.
That is tough. Because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm gonna give it to the one that I know has the most experience, Jay Stoney.
Okay.
Jay Stoney, because you actually wrestle. I am giving it to Jay Stoney for that reason, because he could put us on his back and carry us.
Okay. Well, here's someone we didn't talk about. She hasn't been on in a while, Stacy.
Ooh, Stacy 9 belts.
No. I'm not putting the GBP belt on her. I'm talking as far as face and heels.
She probably is a face for me. She's really nice.
I agree. Okay. I think I'm gonna.
Wait, is she the lunch lady gimmick though?
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta make her a heel then.
Yeah, she can be a nice.
She can slop.
She can be a nice lunch lady though.
Nah, for wrestling purposes, she's got to be the lunch lady has to be a heel.
Okay. I feel like our first GBP champion's got to be someone's got an edge. No pun intended. I promise. Someone that maybe is not necessarily a heel, but just we can tell that they. How can I put this? They're steadfast in their takes and opinions and unwavering.
We didn't say Jamie Waldrop. He's on all the time too. Probably a face.
I'd go Jamie Waldrop as a heel.
Okay. Tweener. When we can't agree, tweener.
I'm going to go for my first GBP champion would be Jamie Benzlock.
Okay. I'm going to have to create a GBP on 2K.
Hey, in all seriousness, if you want to create one of our GBP belts on 2K, let me know. Send me a message. I can send you a picture of one of our belts, whether it's we've got 4 different ones. You can just tell me which one you want a picture of. So
there's an ex-referee in here. We could talk about Jeffrey Capo. He knows the ins and the outs.
That's a good point. I'm stripping Jamie Benzlock of the GBP championship, putting it on Jeffrey Capo.
Because of your history, too, I feel like you'd be a very classic champion.
Jamie Benzlock will officially be the shortest GBP champion in history.
Fired.
And you're gone. Where are we at? Oh, let's give you some more Alfred Hayes. Nope, wrong one.
Let's hit you with our theme music.
We're ending the show.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Sorry about that, guys. And to be fair, our Roadcaster soundboard is really touchy with some of these buttons, so I literally just glided over it, and it anyway. I really want to get the new Roadcaster. There's a Roadcaster Pro 2 board that's coming out. That'd be sweet to get.
That'd be dope.
Probably wouldn't have such touchy buttons, but nonetheless, I digress. Guys, I want to take a moment to let you know you can check out the Going Broadway podcast. We're live every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. Our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. We do plan to have more giveaways in the future based on those that like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, follow us on not Instagram not anymore, sorry. Follow us on Twitch. There we go. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. So make sure you do those 4 things if you haven't already. So again, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitch, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit those notifications buttons when we go live every Thursday, as well as for special streams that we have, which brings us to our Forbidden Door watch party. AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling putting on Forbidden Door. We will be having a GBP watch party on Sunday, June 26th. The event goes live at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We will actually be going live an hour earlier. So 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, we will be live, but it is Twitch only. So all of our watch parties, if you're not familiar with our podcast, all of our watch parties are exclusive to Twitch. So again, make sure you follow us on Twitch if you haven't already, and that way you can be notified when we go live for our watch parties. Anytime we put on special streams, we'll do watch-alongs. Sometimes during the week I'll put on a pay-per-view compilation, things like that. Those are all exclusive to Twitch. So please check that out. Again, follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out our GBP website, goingbroadwaypodcast.com. Our shop is live, and these are our current Saturday Night's Main Event tribute shirts. They are $19.99 plus taxes and shipping for a t-shirt, $39.99 plus taxes and shipping for a hoodie. They do come in the standard Saturday Night's Main Event red, white, and blue colors, as well as our GBP colors, black, green, and white / gray. So check that out. Get you a shirt. Just a few other announcements. This upcoming Saturday, we will be live at the Gateway Convention Center in Collinsville. Just a short drive from my house, in fact. For the Warrior Wrestling Show, we are proud, humbled, and honored to be the presenting sponsors for 2 of their matches. But we'll also be doing a live stream for probably, 45 minutes or so during their Fan Fest event. So that's this Saturday, May 28th. We'll go live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We do have a couple of quick interviews lined up with some of the talent. So that'll be exciting for us, fun for you guys as well. We are sponsors for 2 of their matches, and I'll bring that up here in just a second. But these are some of the talents that will be there. Davey Richards, current Warrior Women's Champion Athena, Warhorse, Jeff Cobb, Jonah, Deonna Purrazzo. Unfortunately, Will Ospreay has been scrapped from the event due to a kidney infection. That is the match we were sponsoring. However, it'll now be Davey Richards versus a mystery opponent. So I'm excited and intrigued to see who that'll be. But we're also the sponsor for the Warrior Women's Wrestling title match with Athena versus Kai. Janae Kai, I think is pronounced. I think is how you pronounce her name. So again, I'll throw that up real quick. This Saturday, May 28th, 5 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. So join us for 45, 50 minutes. We'll have a couple of quick interviews with some of the talent, and we're looking forward to that. Did you have anything to add?
Nope.
Nothing?
Except we need to do another keyword, I think.
I'm getting there. I meant, did you have anything to add as far as the announcements and such?
Nope.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing to add.
Not that I know of.
Cool. We're going to do another keyword right now. This is our second keyword. Reply with the word... Wow, hold on. Let me get my timer ready. Reply with the word heart. H-A-R-T. The name heart. H-A-R-T, as in Brett, as in Owen, as in my shirt. I'm setting the timer now. You have 1 minute to do that.
I am not getting in the ring with Davey Richards. That man is scary.
While they're replying with this, thoughts on Davey Richards' opponent?
We were kind of talking about this before the show. So Lance Archer has been signed for the event, but he's not in that match. He's going to have a separate match.
Oh, yeah. That's what I forgot. Lance Archer was signed to be on the Warrior Wrestling Show as the last minute, I guess, kind of make good on the fact that Will Ospreay is not going to be there. But
there's going to be another mystery opponent.
Yeah.
It's not Lance Archer.
Correct.
So I'm trying to think. It's going to be nobody that's on Double or Nothing, because to me, too much of a risk of getting hurt before the show and night beforehand, and you'd have to basically take a red eye to get to wherever they're going. So yeah. I'm thinking, you said a name that stuck out to me that was very possible. I like that. I'm going to save that for you because it was your thing. But any chance that it's Johnny Warrior? Since we completely botched that guess.
Yeah, I'm calling the time on that, so that it is officially closed for the second keyword. Possibly, that's not a bad guess.
Johnny Warrior, whatever. Johnny. I guess you can't really call him Johnny Wrestling because that would be a copyright infringement. Johnny Mundo, whatever he's gonna go by, I guess. John Hennigan would be an option.
Sammy Callahan.
Sammy Callahan could be one. Anybody from Impact, honestly, could be a good Eddie Edwards.
Oh, that would be something.
Eddie Edwards could be an option. Is Ethan Page on Double or Nothing?
No, but I venture to guess he'll probably be
on site though.
Yeah.
The only reason why I was saying that is because he's been in St. Louis a lot. He's going to be back here in July again.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of thinking maybe he's got a little stint going on here in STL, and maybe he'll be around so I could maybe see Ethan Page.
It's possible.
I mean, Lance Archer just signed, and he's AEW technically.
So Bluegrass Scratcher says Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett is actually already on the card. I forgot who he's going up against, but he is actually announced already, so it's definitely not him.
Suzuki?
Yeah. Matt Cardona. He's supposed to be on the next one in Grand Rapids.
Matt Cardona would be amazing. First off, I would pop. I would pop hard.
If it's Marco's stunt.
First off, he's getting punted out of the building.
Davey Richards would flick him and he'd be flying out of the ring.
I'm trying to think of it because when it comes to Davey, they like to book aggressive people with him. Like, the Eddie Kingstons.
Yeah.
So that's why Suzuki kind of stands out to me. Jake Something. I feel like that'd be kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
But Jake Something, it'd be an aggressive match. Jake Something could stand out.
It's definitely got to be a name people recognize. So, I mean, we would recognize Eddie Edwards, but some of the crowd might not, depending on.
Now, at the same time, if it's an indie crowd, they're going to know who Eddie Edwards is.
I'm trying to think old school Ring of Honor. Bobby Fish.
Could, but they're probably there.
Probably, but
Shane Taylor? I feel like the name's not big enough, but
we would know who he is for sure.
But Shane, the Shane Taylor Promotions, Jonathan Gresham?
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Jonathan Gresham, him and Davey are kind of the same size, technical wrestlers. Jonathan Gresham to me. Say the name that you told me, though, because that actually is a good...
Brian Cage is who I was thinking of, and he's been on Warrior shows before. He's been Warrior Wrestling Champion before.
Jay Lethal? I feel like he's going to be a Double or Nothing.
Yeah, he's going to cost Joe... I'm jumping the gun. Sorry. Kenny King. El Generico.
Ooh. I mean, long shot. Miro? Cesaro? I feel like he's probably out of it because he wants way too much money.
And I think to make your reappearance on the wrestling scene, no offense to Collinsville/St. Louis, but I don't think that's really a big enough market to...
Now, there's a whole nother people we're not talking about. People who've been working indie shows like crazy. Adam Shearer / Braun Strowman.
Killer Cross. Some of these MLW guys, that's where Davey Richards is. He wrestles for them too.
What's the...
That's intriguing.
EC3?
Yeah.
So the control your narrative kind of guys could...
I got goosebumps. I'm actually going to switch my pick to Killer Cross.
I'm just saying they've wrestled too. They wrestled in Texas, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Ooh.
And that's why
got chills.
I'm just saying, there's names out there that could be like a big deal kind of thing. So I'm intrigued.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Cheeseburger.
I'm excited to be there. So again, guys, this upcoming Saturday, join us live at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We'll be live for about 45 minutes during their Fan Fest event. We're going to give you a rundown of the card. We'll talk. What are you thinking?
Myron Reed, didn't he fight Davey Richards at
Glory Pro?
Glory Pro.
Yeah, yep. That was actually the first Glory Pro show we went to, I think.
Second.
Was it second?
Davey fought who did he fight? Myron Reed was his second show that we went to, because then he fought Mike Outlaw at the third.
Okay.
It was the Davey Vega guy. It was the first.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to lose your thought. Someone just said Myron Reed, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they've already fought. Recently.
Because I was going to say something to add, and I forgot what it was. I don't remember.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. If it was important enough, it'll come back. We're going to preview Double or Nothing and give you our predictions. That's what I was going to say. So, again, this Saturday, we got a couple interviews with some of the talent that are on the show. We're going to try to get more. I'm still working to try to arrange a few more sit-downs, because ideally what I'd like to do is be live for an hour and get 5 to 10 minute interviews with some of the talent that are there.
Probably 5 interviews just to kind of give a little balance and whatnot.
But we've got 2 so far. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, Double or Nothing is this upcoming Sunday, May 29th.
Bluegrass Scratchers, you actually can go to Glory Pro's YouTube. They probably had the full match up. So Glory Pro Wrestling, Myron Reed versus Davey Richards happened there 2 months ago.
2 or 3 months ago.
It was a really good match. I encourage you to watch it, and anybody else who might be interested in that match. It was really good, and you can go watch it on their Facebook page.
Can't wait for Double or Nothing leaving in 2 hours. Arrive in Vegas tomorrow. Tickets donated by Tony Khan via Owen Hart Foundation.
Cool.
Interesting.
Cool.
All right.
There's a lot of you going. Jesse says he's going.
Nice.
I think there's like 3 or 4 of you I've seen in the chat. That's super cool. Super cool.
You guys need to like connect and
all of you wear your GBP merch and then meet up while you're there.
Exactly. This Sunday, May 29th at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Lots of intriguing matches, so why don't we just run through the card and we'll give our predictions.
Let's get it.
We'll start with the pre-show match. Hookhausen versus Tony Nese and Mark Sterling. Mark Sterling wrestling for the first time in AEW.
Is he a wrestler?
Yeah, he really is, actually. He's actually not bad. I'm just doing this snooze thing because
But are they going to make him look like a wrestler, or are they going to make him look like he's never wrestled?
My guess is they're probably going to make him look like a manager. They'll probably pull the Bobby Heenan stuff with him.
For the sake of people will lose their mind if they lost, I'm going to say Hookhausen wins.
Well, yeah.
I don't think there's... And it's stupid. Tony Nese should not be in this position.
Not at all.
He's too good. Too good. Too good, AEW. Stop.
For sure.
Put some respect on that man's name.
All right. We'll run down the rest of the card. No particular order. Jade Cargill defending the TBS Championship against Anna Jay.
Blah. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't see Anna Jay being the one that dethrones. Anybody could dethrone her, but I don't see her being the one. The build's not there. Nothing's there. Jade Cargill gets the win. And the terminology that she used, I think this match is going to be a baddie.
I wouldn't be surprised I think Jade wins as well, but I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow like set up the next challenger and we get like I don't want to say a big debut, but just some kind of oh, okay, this person's on AEW now. Cool.
That, or it's someone who has debuted but was in the Owen Hart. I could see Tony Storm coming out.
Maybe. I mean,
she's a face. Jade's a heel. It kind of just makes sense. And maybe she's the one that dethrones this and gets it over with.
Yeah. Anna Jay with the old school. I'm sorry. Well, I was going to say the schoolboy, the schoolgirl in this case, and gets the shock win. I mean, it's not going to happen, but
the build's not there.
Yeah. The Anarchy in the Arena match. You're telling me you couldn't have thought of a better name. Anyway.
What is this, by the way? I mean, I know it's got a cool name, but what is it?
It's probably just an all-out 10-man tag match where you don't have to.
It's
tag.
a no DQ match, is what you're telling me.
It's probably like a falls count anywhere. Everybody going
a street fight.
A street fight in the arena, but it's going to take like 5 or 6 referees to.
This is so dumb because they did the whole tease of doing a stadium stampede match or whatever on air, and they was like, we're not doing any of that dumb stuff. And so they're like, all right, cool, we won't do any of that dumb stuff. Coming live at Double or Nothing, we're doing an Anarchy, whatever it's called, match. Like, it's just stupid. Why does everything have to have a dumb name?
I don't know. My thought is I wonder if this was supposed to set up for a blood and guts match and like something happened to where like they couldn't get the double cage in the T-Mobile Arena or something and they had to pivot, but they still wanted to keep the match. And I don't know.
What's it called again?
Anarchy in the Arena.
I feel like Jericho sits down in these meetings and he was like, all right, this one here, I got a killer name for it. Anarchy in the Arena. Like the orange juice thing he did with Orange Cassidy, like everything has to have a dumb name. Like just call it a street fight or a whatever. Like just let it be normal. Anywho, what is the match? Read it again.
Jericho Appreciation Society. against.
So that's Jericho, Daniel Garcia 2.0, and Jake Hager.
Yeah.
It's all five of them.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Against, essentially against Blackpool Combat Club and essentially
Pride and Powerful.
Well, I was trying to call them what they were in Impact.
LAX.
Yeah.
The new LAX technically, but
Yeah.
so you said so it's just Moxley and Bryan though.
Yeah.
Because Yuta is in
He's in Japan.
So Moxley, Bryan, and then Eddie Kingston. Jericho Appreciation Society is going to get this win because they're going to have Bryan and Kingston butt heads, and there's going to be chaos between the team. I see Jericho Appreciation Society getting the win here.
I agree. I think that's how it winds up as well. Trying to switch back here. There we go.
If Bryan can't go, they would already announced it by now. He'll be in the match.
You would think.
Yeah, they won't wait till the day of to announce it. It's too big of a name to not have on the card. If they were going to switch it, he would have already been announced that he can't go on last night's Dynamite.
Let's just tackle the Owen Hart Cup tournaments. So let's do 2 predictions in one. So first off, the semifinal, Ruby against Statlander.
This is tough because they've not booked Ruby right ever.
And they've really pushed Statlander lately, especially getting her away from the alien gimmick and such.
I'm going to say Ruby.
I am too.
I'm going to say Ruby. It's going to be a close match, but I'm going to say Ruby.
And then the finals will be Britt against Ruby. I think we can agree that Britt would probably get the win. No?
It's not as easy for me because I feel like at some point you can't keep pushing Britt the way you are, like so strong, because I feel like she's still overshadowing Thunder Rosa, like without the belt. So there's a part of me that could see Ruby getting the win because though there's no belt on the line. Britt does not need the title of Owen Hart Cup to be over. It could really boost Ruby.
It could.
I'm going to make this my shock pick. I'm going to say Ruby.
Really? Okay.
She's taken the L to Britt how many times? How many times are you going to feed Ruby Riott to her? This one has no belt on the line.
Okay.
It has nothing involved other than a title that means nothing, like a name that means nothing, an Owen Hart Cup winner.
Yeah.
Doesn't really have any extreme value to it. So
part of my logic ties into the men's tournament as well. So I think Adam Cole wins on the men's side. So you have Adam and Britt as your winners. I think Jay Lethal cost Samoa Joe the match. It inevitably would set up a Ring of Honor TV title match with Joe and Jay Lethal, whether it's X amount of time down the road or whatever. But inevitably, I think you've got those are your cup winners, Adam and Britt. And you could make the argument that you might have them both lose too. But I think it's going to be one or the other. I don't think you have between Cole and Britt. I don't think you have just one of them win. I think it's both of them or neither.
They're pretty separated on TV. Like, I know they're not ignoring them, because they had the one, mixed tag match or whatever. But I think they're separated enough that they don't both have to win or lose. I think
they don't have to, but
I think Britt's gonna take the. I could see Britt winning, no doubt. I just don't know. And this one, I'm gonna be real. This would be one of those decisions that would really make me question AEW even more. How many times are you gonna feed Ruby Riott to Britt Baker? I get it with the title. I understood it. I thought it was bad booking to put Ruby in that situation. But now you have your chance to rectify it and get Ruby back on track.
Yeah.
If you don't give her the win here, unless they keep her safe from Britt by having her lose to Statlander, which, again, does nothing for Ruby. But then if Statlander's there, then I think Britt wins hands down. Like, I don't even think it's a question. So, and then you're wanting my prediction for the men's.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to agree with you that, one, to me, Adam Cole is the better name to put it on, regardless if it's cost by Jay Lethal or not.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Samoa Joe, but Samoa Joe has his own thing right now with the ROH title and, whatever. This is another way to keep Adam Cole relevant without putting him in the title picture. So I'm all for Adam Cole getting the W here, and I think that's ultimately what's going to happen.
Cool. As we progress with the predictions, we're going to do our last keyword. It's going to be Owen, Owen. So reply with the word Owen. I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute here in just a second. And I'm starting it right now. So you guys have 1 minute to reply with the word Owen if you want to get that last entry in. And just trying to pick the next. Let's just do AEW Women's title match. Thunder against Serena. I don't know how Thunder doesn't retain.
I
here.
don't see Serena ever being the women's champion in AEW. I just don't. ROH, maybe. I don't see her. She just, to me, does not have. She has good match quality, but she just does not have the it factor for me. But at the same time, they've given it to worse people. So I don't see Thunder losing anytime soon. I feel like they really need to be intentional about making her title reign feel special.
Agreed. Let's see where are we at here. All right, the three-way tag match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. We got Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus against Team Taz against Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland.
Team Taz is
Starks and Hobbs.
I thought. That was last night. Okay, so say it one more time. It was Jurassic Express, Hobbs and Starks, and what was
Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland.
Ooh.
And I'm closing up the entries now.
All right, I'm gonna say this. I think Jurassic Express loses.
You think they lose the belts?
I
Interesting,
think someone
okay.
said something that intrigued me that has me thinking. I think Christian turns on Jurassic Express. I don't know why. They'll lose the match and then there'll be a turn. It's probably Christian turning on Jungle Boy. Christian will be the heel in the story. It's to get Jungle Boy more over than he already is. But, I could see that being good. My dilemma now is who are you putting it on? The way that they have fast-tracked them, I think it's going to go on Keith Lee and Swerve. I think that they like them together. I think it's a disservice to Keith Lee and Swerve to put them in a tag team. But if that's all you have for them right now, I think they're going to make them feel like there's a reason for them doing it at least. So I could see them putting it on Keith Lee and Swerve. I don't really see it on Hobbs and Starks. I think that's an underwhelming tag champs feel. But Swerve and Keith Lee can make the titles feel like they both have that capability on the mic.
Yeah.
Big match feel, being able to put on a good match. And they really need to get the belts off Jurassic because they have nothing for it.
I think Jurassic Express retains here. I think we'll see the Christian Cage heel turn eventually. I don't think we see it here.
Forbidden Door, maybe?
I think we see it teased here, but I think we see it at Forbidden Door. I agree with that.
Very true. I'm not saying that it would shock me if they win.
Yeah.
Because I feel the build to this has been kind of mediocre. But if we're looking for some kind of shock value win, I think there's going to be two on this card, and this might be one of them.
Okay. Where are we at here? I didn't even know this was on the card. House of Black against Death Triangle.
So it's Ray Phoenix, Penta, and Pac versus Brody, Buddy, and Malachi.
Is it bad that I'm just kind of like, who cares at this point? I'm so underwhelmed by the goth storyline, whatever is going on with, I don't know. And like where it is are the Varsity Blondes supposed to be factored into this with the whole
Julia Hart
stuff? Like, I don't know.
So are we under the mindset that the House of Black is done growing in members? Or do you think this is a stable that they could add 7, 8, 9 people to?
I don't think it'll be that many. I mean, they could add a fourth or fifth maybe, but
which one obviously is probably going to be a woman. Whether it's Julia Hart or it's Abaddon or, like whoever they're going to fit into that faction. I could see it being a female. So I'm going to say House of Black gets
here.
the win just because I feel like they need to continue winning to keep Malachi Black relevant.
Yeah. No, I agree. Let's see, then that one we're good. That one. Okay. So we got 3 matches left. Tag team match, Hardys against the Bucks.
This is not clear cut.
No, it's not.
I'm going to say, it's tough. First off, I hope this match is good, first and foremost. I'm a little nervous that the Hardys may not be able to look as believable against such a strong team as the Bucks. But saying that, I think there's a mindset that they want the Hardys to get the AEW tag titles before they retire. Add it to their repertoire of things they've won. You know, if and when they start doing an AEW Dynamite Hall of Fame, you would want to be able to put them in your Hall of Fame. I'm going to say the Hardys get the win.
I am as well, because I echo the exact same thought. I think they do eventually want to get the tag belts on them just to do it. So I don't. If that's the case, I don't think they can take a loss here. It doesn't make sense for them to.
This is a build to keep them relevant, to keep them big. And the Bucks would be the team that'd be willing to job to them.
Yeah. MJF against Wardlow. If Wardlow wins, he'll be granted his release from his contract with MJF. If MJF wins, Wardlow will be permanently banned from signing with AEW.
With that stipulation, you almost have to believe Wardlow's getting the win. But they've swerved us here in these situations more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm kind of like...
They could have him lose and just keep the storyline going.
I feel like the storyline's done, though.
I'd personally do too, but
I feel like you just need to let him be done, move on, because I feel like it's a disservice to MJF. He's making it work, but I feel like it needs to be done. I'm going to say Wardlow gets the win.
I am too. Title match, Paige and Punk.
This is not easy.
I'm saying Punk wins the belt, whether I like it or not.
Because you got to look at it from 2 perspectives. One, I think you and I would both agree that Paige's run has been mediocre and that Punk would give the title a big title feel again from that standpoint. So that's the pro to putting on him. But Punk has been willing to take the loss to certain people. If what he said was, I'm here to elevate the younger guys around me and the talent around me, is he willing to take a loss to Paige and lose a title match above all else? That's where I'm struggling, because he could really do a service for Paige right here, right now. You could turn Paige's whole title run around if he gets a dub over CM Punk, especially now that the storyline has heated up. They've had some good promos. They've had some good face-offs. It was kind of a slow build, but they finally got there. Even kind of based off of last night and what I read of how their face-to-face went. I think they're just now kind of getting there, so maybe this is one match of 2 or 3.
Travis Bird.
But I think I'm going to agree with you. I don't see a world where Punk coming back to wrestling, he doesn't get a world title run at some point. Your run with Paige has been mediocre as well. Things are stale. But the problem is I don't know what you do with him. What do you do with Paige after this?
What do you do with...
Some degree, you could still throw him in random storylines because he's Punk. It's going to be fine.
Well,
it's not great, but it's going to be fine. Paige,
I don't know if it'd be fine, because it's like we had a stale last few months with Paige as champion. Who's to say if we had another few months as Punk as champion and it be stale? I'd probably feel the same way, even if, despite it being Punk as champion. If it's a stale championship reign, it's a stale championship reign. So,
right, I don't know. The Paige thing is, for me, is okay, if he can get a win over Punk could still go and do something else. There's plenty of storylines they could put Punk in that would make sense. And again, not the greatest thing you could do with Punk, but at least it would sell. People would watch the match.
It would.
I don't know what you could do with Paige after this. I really am lost on that. There's not a feud, a storyline. you'd almost, in my opinion, have to take him off TV for a while and bring him back as a surprise somewhere along the lines and introduce him into a storyline then. And probably as a heel, because this has been a bad run.
I got to send a quick email, but thoughts on if we get any surprise debuts, returns, etc.
First and foremost, I have to say I'm kind of done with surprises with AEW as far as debuts and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like it's to the point now where it's almost like we almost talk as if it's a guarantee that every time there's a pay-per-view, there's a surprise person that they're signing or introducing. I think that if they were smart for this pay-per-view, any surprises would be New Japan-related people setting up for Forbidden Door. I don't think we need to see any new AEW signings. I don't think we need to see any non-Forbidden Door-related appearances from people. I think it needs to be very centric because Forbidden Door is only a month away. Double or Nothing is a big pay-per-view. You want to get a lot of eyes on setting up for Forbidden Door, have Will Ospreay show up. Have your big New Japan names show up, because now you have a month to build whatever match that's going to be.
Wouldn't it be a ruse if like this whole kidney infection thing was a storyline just so they could get him on AEW?
Well, here's the thing. I was thinking that. I was thinking, what if they had to pull him from the match because he had obligations that when he booked Warrior Wrestling, he didn't have those obligations. Now he does, and it interferes with his New Japan contract, so he has to do what he's told there, and they had to pull him. And instead of pulling him, just saying, you can't pull him and say, well, he has to go be on AEW. You got to keep it a surprise. So they just had to say, well, a kidney infection? Come on. That would have been cleared up by now. You're not going to have a kidney infection for...
Well, I mean, to be fair, I don't know that. I mean, he did post stuff on social media where it looked like an IV was in his arm, but he didn't actually post a full video of him. It just like was a picture of his arm with an IV in it.
Couldn't it not been another time that he was in the hospital? Like,
could have been.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying he's going to be there. I'm just saying that he's probably going to be there. But
interesting.
That's where I'm saying, if you want to get the most eyes to set up for Forbidden Door, Double or Nothing is where you're going to do it. It's not going to happen on a Dynamite. It's not going to happen on a Rampage. It's going to happen on Double or Nothing. So you already saw a tease of it this last Wednesday night. Last night, sorry. Of the United Empire being there. So they're in the States. They're here. I'm just saying, if I was wanting to put eyes on Forbidden Door, I would start setting up those matches at Double or Nothing. I would start setting up feuds and ideas and things at Double or Nothing. When Adam Cole wins if he wins the Owen Hart, cup, soon as while he's celebrating, why he's all victorious and stuff, have his opponent come out the door. Have them come out and kind of look at him and maybe point at the Forbidden Door, Tron or something.
We're gonna get a WrestleMania point in AEW.
You know what I mean? Just something along those lines, or mouth it or shout it like Forbidden Door, you and me, like whatever. Like, set up Adam Cole's match, because that's a match that people are gonna want to see. They want to know, who is Adam Cole fighting. And this goes back to our discussion with WWE about how they've not set up cards that are something that they want people to watch. AEW needs to get this right. Have Adam Cole's opponent come out after the end of his match. You want to have you want to talk about a marquee match for New Japan? Have Will Ospreay get involved at the end of the Page Punk match. Have him help Punk win it, and then you get Ospreay versus Punk at Forbidden Door. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much things that you could do, and it doesn't have to be Ospreay. You could pick anybody you want. Whoever the opponent's going to be, have them start making their appearances in Double or Nothing. Subtle, whether it's a promo, at least letting us know that they're available for a Forbidden Door, and we'll find out who their opponent is later. But I just want to start seeing the big names start to show up and start setting up the card and the feud, because we only have a month from the time Double or Nothing hits to get ready. Almost to the date, right? Today's the 26th.
Pretty close, yeah.
So, actually, as of today, we have a month.
Yeah, it is a month.
Until Double or Nothing. So, it needs to, or not Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door. So, the setup needs to start now.
Yeah. Guys, it is time. It is time. Or as as Bruce Buffer would say, I don't know if I should try it or not, because Bruce Buffer doing the UFC where he does his little jump and he goes, "It's time." That was awful.
I kind of
had to give it a shot.
I'm reading Joey's comment. Regal enters the ring and shouts "War Games."
War Games. I actually do a better Regal than I do Bruce Buffer. It's time for our giveaway. So I've got all of the names populated that replied with all 3 keywords. If you didn't reply with all 3 keywords, I apologize. You are not entered into this giveaway. I said at the beginning of our podcast, it is for anyone that replied with all 3 keywords when prompted. So yes, you did have to reply with all 3 to be eligible. So we got the randomizer queued up, and we are ready to do this now. 10 clicks as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9er, and click number 10 will be our winner, and the winner is Greg Tuck is our winner.
Good old Greg Tuck. Congratulations.
So,
Greg,
if you're on the chat, make sure you let us know that you're on the chat. If you don't, okay, Greg, congrats, you're a winner. If you don't mind, in some way, shape, or form, send us if you're comfortable with it, you can reply on the chat with your address. If you want to private message us,
he's on Facebook. Just shoot us a Facebook message.
Well, we've been having issues with our GBP Facebook messaging.
Got you.
But if you're able to send us a message, go for it. You can message us on Twitter without any issues if you have a Twitter account. But just if you do that, let us know that it's you, that's Greg Tuck, that you're just claiming your winnings, and we will get this prize package shipped out to you. It'll probably be next week whenever we get it shipped out to you, but it does include that Winged Eagle belt as well as a number of other items. So, unfortunately, it is about that time. Cole, any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate it. Don't forget to join us this Saturday for our Warrior Wrestling event. We will have a few of the talents on with us during our live. So you're going to want to be there for that. That is 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central that will be going live. So make sure that you join us for that. It's going to be a great card. We're super excited about it. So join us for that. Don't forget to go get your Going Broadway podcast merch. It is comfortable, it is fashionable, and you want to have it. So make sure you go and get the Going Broadway podcast merch. It is on our website. And we appreciate you doing that as well. And then don't forget that we have our watch party for Forbidden Door, which will be June 26th. We'll be going live at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern.
We go live an hour before
the show starts for wherever you're at. So make sure you join us for that. There will be fruit snacks.
Indeed, there will be.
I'm sure there will be plenty of food. And we will have a great time on that. Other than that, guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy Double or Nothing. And I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
Guys, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Support your local independent wrestling, and we'll see you next week.
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.